life.
Well, we're here, folks. We promised you a post-game show. I don't really want to do this one today. This sucked ass. It's a complete failure by Jeff Scott. I'm going to be blunt on that one. That's a really bad job by him in the fourth quarter, blowing an 11-point lead. You've got touchdowns from all three units, and you still lose. You caused 3 first-half turnovers. I mean, what more can you ask from these players? I mean, they were out just Diet Lemon Booty outcoached you, Jeff Scott, and that's really what it comes down to. With 4.5 minutes left, do you run 30 seconds off, call your final timeout, and then run the same damn play again? You're taking the ball out of Timmy McClain's hands, who a blind man. Stevie Wonder would tell you that Timmy McClain is still your best player on the field. I get it. Maybe run your Rhino package on 3rd down, and then on 4th down, if you have to, trot Timmy out. Just a failure all around by this coaching staff. They failed the players today, and then the fans at the end of the game at halftime. Y'all suck. Just know that. You guys fucking suck. All right. This is on the coaches. You guys suck. Okay. You don't do that to these kids. They're 20 years old maybe. Like, I get it. We make fun of people. We're not calling that you fucking suck. You're terrible. You guys are the worst. Like, what are we doing here? This is college football. What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, we get to see after the game, the post game, we get to see these guys come in and, they have to come in and answer questions, and that's really, really difficult. I mean, they're coming in the post game looking like they're on the verge of tears, but when they get to the podium, they sit there like men and answer questions, and they don't deserve the poor treatment they got. You have your first lead of the season going into halftime, and you're getting booed. You can be upset with the play call, but the whistle's blown. The whistle's been dead the play's been dead for about a minute. Give them some applause as they're coming off the field. They got their first lead against the FBS opponent. We should get some praise. Instead, they get booed going to the locker room. After the game, these guys are dejected. They don't need to hear that kind of stuff from their home fans. And guess who's here? Recruits are here. Guess where they stand? They stand right down in that tunnel where they're hearing USF fans tell these guys that just fought their butts off, you guys are losers. You guys suck. I'm sure that'll get them interested in coming here.
Where do I sign?
Yeah, that's not great.
And trust us, we get it. This is a frustrating loss. You're up 31-20 going into the fourth quarter, and you blow that lead. That's a failure. And now the questions creep back in. Will this team ever turn it around? And man, today was supposed to be that day. Everyone here picked USF to win. Steeg always picks USF to win. But Seth and I are more pragmatic about this stuff, and we expected USF to win this game. This was a very winnable game. They did 93% of the stuff you need to do to win the game. And quite frankly, the coaching staff took it out of their hands with some just horrendous decision making. I know you try to protect the coaches as much as possible, and that's why I'm here. But damn.
I think the questionable thing is some of the timeout usage has been a bugaboo for a while now. Use a timeout for a 2-point play is important, but in reality, I think you'd rather have those timeouts at the end of the game.
Absolutely.
And then the 4th down, if you kind of knew you were going to go for it, I think you'd have a pretty good feel of what the play call is. If you feel confident that you're going to get the 1st down and then run the clock down, it doesn't seem quite as important. Those not great. I did like the call to go for it on 4th and 1. I just think you got to have your 2 plays ready to go because it really looked like it was the same play back to back. So
it really was.
Take a timeout.
They changed some of the personnel. That is it. They brought in Rashawn Yates, and that's basically it was the same. It was the same damn play.
Now the bigger problem is that you just didn't play very well offensively today. You started pretty well, moved the ball down the field. It just wasn't consistent enough. Walking back up pretty good with Steeg. I said to him, I don't know, if they would have 5 minutes left on the clock, do you trust them to go down and score? Because they hadn't done it in a while. They definitely got aided by the kickoff return touchdown, the pick six brought back. I thought the offense would play a lot better today. This Tulsa defense has not been great, and they moved the ball at times, but couldn't sustain it, unfortunately. And then, we talked about the pregame show. Our big takeaways were winning third downs. They were winning for most of the game, but by the end of the game, you look down at it, they lost third downs. Won the turnover battle. That's why it was a close game, because they won the turnover battle, gave themselves some short fields, and then no self-inflicted wounds. Tulsa was a team that had been averaging, I think, bottom 5 at least in penalties in the country. You can't match them in penalties, which you did, and then one of them pulls a punt return touchdown off the board. Those are things you cannot do when you're trying to get this first win. You cannot make these self-inflicted errors, which they did a little too much in the second half. First half, it's really started with that fumble on the kickoff return.
Yep.
That you're up 11, you get the kickoff, you get it at the 30, 35, maybe you go down and try to score. Instead, they come back and score on one play, and now you're off the back on the field on the 4 now. So it really kind of started to turn there.
I agree. It's just you said, man, too many self-inflicted wounds in that second half. Tim McLean did not play great. I fully expected him to play a lot better with 2 weeks to prepare, and maybe 2 weeks to prepare was just too much time for study, second guess. I don't know. He was 10-25 on the day, passing for 148 yards.
It looked at time like he was trying not to make a mistake. Because there were 3 or 4 times where he had screens that were called, and you go to throw it. Maybe a guy flashes, they end up blocking the guy, and he decides not to throw it and keeps it. So it was kind of a weird game from him, and maybe just a freshman thing. Kind of we've seen him perform so well, that maybe this is one of those weeks where he kind of played a little bit more like a freshman.
Right.
Hopefully next week he can get back to where he was playing before, because he was playing really well from this game. This one not his best, even though you did still see flashes like that throw on the sideline that Steeg caught beautifully on his camera. So there was some positive.
That was a positive. Xavier Weaver continues to be a good target for Timmy McLean. He finished with 4 catches, 52 yards, a couple big first downs, and then we talked about the running backs at Tulsa, Shamari Brooks, Deneric Prince, both over 100 yards. Their skill position is very, very talented, and it showed. Davis Brin is not a good enough quarterback. He has the luxury of a really talented skill position group, and frankly, Josh Johnson targeted 17 times. He had 8 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown. He dropped, I think, 5 or 6 balls that would have just exploded this game out of control.
You kind of had the perfect storm running for you that you really got to take advantage of, because, like you said, they dropped quite a few balls on offense. Your defense played pretty well, I think better than we all expected kind of coming into this game. Tulsa had a pretty good offense statistically. USF defense played pretty well, got more 3 and outs than I think we would have. Any of us would have, if you told us before the game how many 3 and outs they would have gotten. I think every one of us would have taken it.
Yep.
Just couldn't capitalize on your opportunities. When you get that first 3 and out, if you go down and score, or even after the second one, or the interception by Boyles, you got to turn those kind of opportunities into points and put the game away early. Don't let them hang around. It's kind of what you did. And that fumble turned the game on its head, and we're here 32-31.
Yeah, and credit to the defense. They were on the field for basically 9 minutes straight in that second quarter. The USF punted with about 10-11 left in the second quarter, and then their offense didn't get back on the field until 56 seconds left in that second quarter. You'd given up 10 points in about a minute and a half, so I am very okay with Jeff Scott just holding on to the ball, letting the team reset into halftime, taking the lead. Because I assure you, if they take a deep shot, Tulsa still had all 3 timeouts left. You get an incompletion, something stupid like that. Tulsa's going back down and scoring again. Just the way that the game was flowing at that point. You take the 24-20 lead into halftime, and guess what? The defense response was basically what amounted to 4 straight 3 and outs. They get the 3 and out, and then they get another 3 and out, and actually returned the punt for a touchdown but the penalty wipes that out, and then they go 3 and out again, but technically that same possession. Okay, so and then they do it again. So the defense gave the offense plenty of opportunities. It probably shouldn't have come down to that 3rd and 1 call and that 4th and 1 call, but it did, and we.
And we'll look at the play call this week. Obviously on the film room, we'll look at that kind of stuff. First blush, it looked like it wasn't a terrible play call, but the timeout is really kind of the bigger issue there. Why use them there? You could have had 2 timeouts going to that last Tulsa drive, or 2 timeouts going into your own drive that could have helped you. You don't have to hurry back to the line of scrimmage after a sack or all that kind of stuff could really help you get in field goal range because your kicker is hitting some bombs. And then I think the only other really bad decision was, and Coach Scott gave a good explanation after, but it was 4th and 11, or it was 4th and ball.
4th and 11 from, I believe, the 20.
So, when the plays happen, you're like, oh, that's an easy conversion. And you look up, he's 5 yards short. Maybe don't call it 4th and 11, maybe a little 4th and shorter, but they got the look they liked. It just didn't work out there. So that's an easy one to second guess when it doesn't work out. But those 3 points proved to be pretty crucial.
They really did. It's just a bad beat. USF covers, so there's that.
Yeah, USF covered.
So that's USF is 1-5 on the season. I believe they're at least 3-3 against the spread, if not 4-2. I think the only 2 they didn't cover was NC State and SMU, right?
Yeah, cover Florida, cover BYU. I think they might have pushed, or maybe covered depending on when you got it against Federal. And covered that.
Steps in the right direction, I guess, but man, I feel for those players. They played their hearts out. They should have won this game. And again, so I'll say it because I know you can't, but that was a total failure by the coaching staff. They failed this group of players here. They should be celebrating, and the look on Antonio Greer's face as he's waiting to talk to the media after the game while Dwayne Boyles is talking, it said it all. This is going to be a tough one to shake. They have the 24-hour rule, but I don't know how you come back from this in 24 hours. And going back to last year, I know it's a different team. The players said as much. Jeff Scott said as much. But you go back to last year where Temple and Memphis, you can win that game. You can win both of those games last year, and you end up losing in semi-heartbreaking fashion. And the following week, they just get blown out by their next opponent. I think this is going to be one of those instances of, all right, you really got hit in the fucking face. How are you going to respond?
And finishing is a skill. It's something you got to learn. We go back, and if you go back to the FAMU game, they didn't really finish that game off. It's not like they got up and just finished. They kind of let them come back and get some points there at the end. And then we've talked all year about finishing drives on both sides of the ball. So finishing is a skill you have to learn. Sometimes it's a tough lesson to learn, and you have to learn it in tough ways. But hopefully they can take this forward, get a little bit better at finishing drives, finishing games off, and that'll lead to more victories down the road. This one's tough right now, but hopefully it turns into a good lesson for them going forward, to where they start finishing some of these games, picking up some victories. There's still winnable games on the schedule. Unfortunately, this was one of them, and you weren't able to pull it out. But there's still some more on the schedule, and I think this is a league that there's not going to be many games where you don't have a chance. So if you play well, there's a lot of games going forward you can win. If you play bad, there's a lot of games you can lose. Everybody's pretty similar.
Yep.
So this is one of those things that sucks now, but you got to move on, go to the next one, and hopefully they can kind of learn some lessons from this, taking it forward into even next year, which I think is the more important year where you want to see a lot of progress into that next season. So hard lessons to learn now, but hopefully you take them forward. And I'm sure these guys will learn some things from this, coaches and players alike. It's a young coaching staff too. So
It is.
They got to learn some stuff too.
Just some final stats for you guys to kind of chew on. Tulsa 31 first downs, USF 13. Tulsa 269 yards rushing, 5.5 yards per rush. USF 113 and 3.6 yards per rush. USF finished with 155 yards passing, thanks to Kenny Scribner's 7-yarder. And then David Spring went 22 of 39 for 266 yards and 2 touchdowns. He threw 2 picks, one of them being the Antonio Weaver pick 6. This is the first time this year David Spring's thrown multiple interceptions and have won.
And he could have very well thrown a couple more. He's not afraid to give you guys a chance.
Yeah. Good golly.
This was a game that, in the third quarter, it just seemed like nobody wanted to win. Both teams were giving the other a lot of opportunities to come in and take the game. Unfortunately, Tulsa took those opportunities at the end. But, we were up in the press box, and, I was kind of like, no, you win. No, you win. With their guys dropping the ball and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully they learn from this. Tulsa was able to pull it out at the end. We thought this would be a tight game, though. Kind of a coin flip. Unfortunately, it goes against you this week. Hopefully, learn some lessons, take it in forward. Another winnable game next week against Temple. You come out of that stretch 0-2, you're not feeling very good. But hopefully they go in next week, get the split, and then see how it goes going forward.
Yep. Final thing. Tulsa goes 5 for 5 in the red zone. They cash in 3 touchdowns. We've harped on it all year. You gotta make them make field goals when you get to the red zone. And just one too many times they scored a touchdown, and that's it really.
They did it twice, needed one more. It's unfortunate. Another week of close but not quite, which is frustrating for the fans, I'm sure. But guys, it's the one thing I think we all need to remember here is it's frustrating for us to watch. And we probably put 5 hours a week into the team and then watch the game. These guys are putting in probably 90 hours a week. This coaching staff, players probably not as much, but pretty close when you count the lifting and everything and all the film they're watching by themselves. So they're probably a little more upset than we are with the losses. So I think we need to think about that when they're coming off the field and we're yelling at them. That's a bit much. These guys work more than any of us towards this. We got to give these guys some credit for playing so hard, coming so close, and then hopefully they learn these lessons, take it forward, and win some games. But these guys are trying. It's not like they're not trying. They're not quitting. So give them some love.
Absolutely. That's it. Jeff Scott needs to play more Madden. I don't know what. You've got 4 game systems in your locker room. Just play some Madden, man. I think it'll help. I truly do think it'll help.
I'm sure he's seen them. We'll see.
But golly.
Any questions, Steve?
I know you're gonna be shocked to hear this, but no.
Oh, good.
Good.
There are no questions. A lot of discuss. General theme.
All right. Well,
Let's get out of here.
we'll see you guys later in our next week.
Yep, we'll have something early this next week and try to move past the 24-hour rule, guys.
24 hours.
We're on to 10.
We're on to Temple.